give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Feeding frenzy, rations on the floor. Come get lost with me, get lost some more. The cut gently flips as I bend backwards fly you.
Welcome, episode 16, Fuel for My Fire podcast. Very special episode. Obviously, Tom is here, as always. Who else am I?
Tom is what?
Yeah, I'm here.
You introduce yourself in the third person. You've never done that before.
That's episode 16, new boundaries.
Is it because we got guests?
Yeah.
Because we got guests.
Yeah, a little bit nervous in front of him, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Dear.
This, Tom here, obviously. Yeah. Did it again. Theo's with me. Danny's
Hello.
here as well, looking after us, looking on the side.
Hey,
Sound
Danny.
even.
How you doing?
You're going to be very low in the background. And yes, we have very special guests. We have Ollie and Johnny from Smile More.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you both for joining us. Looking
Pleasure.
forward to doing the interview. So for those listening, yes, and who may have seen them, we've got lucky enough to get Smile More on. And we go through life in general and
Fuel for My Fire first round winners.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
metal to the masses.
No, Fuel for My Fire first round
Yeah,
winners.
yeah.
You know, they're the first round winners that we've had. It makes sense in my head. It makes sense to me. It's
Yeah,
fine.
same as me
It's
referring to
fine.
myself in
It's
third
fine.
person.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
real winners with the podcast we made along the way.
But hopefully this is the best podcast you'll be on.
Oh yeah, damn right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And when you win and get through the bloodstock, we also have tickets for bloodstock. Then we're going to see you after that, and you know.
So we'll do another podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of the idea. We're hoping to glom on to the winner and then be like, can we interview you after you've been on stage?
Backstage, preferably.
Can you get us backstage passes?
When you're all big and famous, just don't forget where you started, you know.
Yeah,
That's all right. What's your name again?
I even was in third person, come
Yeah.
on. Yeah, again. Yes, we're in the Griffin. Have you guys played the Griffin?
Whoa. Long time ago, right, Johnny?
Many times.
Yeah. Back in.
Yeah.
So the band's first ever gig was Griffin.
Ooh.
God, it was like in 2019, and somehow John had landed Dark Cell from Australia.
Yeah.
And we got lucky enough to just get added onto it.
Any idea how that happened? Was it just luck?
So the bands that were second on the bill, they don't exist anymore. The members have moved on to different projects, but it was Poison Crow.
Okay.
If anyone Bristol-based knows Moon Reaper, so
Yeah,
Sheeran,
yeah.
one of their
Right,
vocalists, she was fronting that band at the time. And I maybe they made the suggestion, but yeah,
Okay.
it
That's
was
cool.
it was mad because it was like a quite big band,
Yeah.
and we were just these fresh out of uni, little fresh-faced guys doing performance art and calling it metal. Like that was it. Yeah,
First show, about 4 songs written.
yeah, 4 songs written.
So a lot of gab to make up the time.
Oh yeah, I chatted a lot that night.
You're pretty good at it, though, I have to admit.
Thank you.
Seeing you to metal to the masses, you blend it quite well with the, you have a natural reaction with the crowd. It's not like forced, which I thought was quite good. You have a good lead singer
Appreciate
stage
it.
presence.
Yeah.
Bit better than that other guy. What was it you were saying in the last one? What was the band that the guy wouldn't stop telling everyone to leave?
Obscurity.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yes, that did
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't. It was Hope's True Grace. No, sorry, Into
Yeah.
Obscurity got through, but
Yeah, no, and the thing is like, I think I've always had a very anti-stage presence for a long time. Like, I was very much, when we first started the band, there were long narrative sections, and I think we're probably going to start leaning on that a little bit more again because it was fun. But it was all about telling a story to the crowd rather than relying on them to give me that energy.
Right.
And yeah, so then Metal to the Masses, obviously last week, like, which I'm sure we'll get on in more detail. Yeah, it felt good to be back in a room of people where I didn't have to win them over this time. I just had to entertain them, you know?
Yeah, you did the good split of entertaining people. Everything was happening around, and then the band kicked off again, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't like you circle pit now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Personal gripe of mine is the pit now mentality. It's like, I'll pit
Yeah.
when I want to pit.
Yeah, there's that, and I think you've got to be able to read a room, especially as like a front person, I guess. Well, in general as a band, isn't it? But at the end of the day, if you've got a crowd in front of you that's not going to, if you kind of just shout at them, then you have to figure out another way to try and get them engaged in the set, basically. Like,
and it really works for some bands. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of hardcore outfits like that works.
I mean, I've seen it not work.
Antagonise,
I've seen
yeah.
it not work at hardcore shows.
Okay,
Like, that's
fair.
the thing. I have seen, like, once again, like if the crowd's just not feeling it for whatever reason, or maybe it's just they haven't warmed up yet enough. You know, then you need to figure out another way of like getting them engaged into the set. Yeah,
Completely
just
agree.
endlessly kind of yelling at people to move is not ever.
I think it's a bit harder with Bristol as well. I've found since I've been living here that there's an awful lot of arms folded people
100%.
just staring at you. And you have no idea if people enjoy themselves or if they're bored or.
Yeah.
But didn't they pay to be there? So I'm like,
Well, and that's it. And I think that's where my mentality about not bullying the crowd comes in. Is like they're stood in that room. Like we know the exchange. The cigarette standing area is not far away. You can go out to the smoking area. They're not. They're choosing to stand there. And so at that point, it's like rather than antagonise them, bring them in. I want them to, at the very least, they come away with a story and a song that they resonate with, and then you're in their mind, you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, going back to our point about the Griffin, like. So we did that first gig. We then did a headline here that sold out and it did really well. And then over the years we've done weird little ad hoc gigs here, haven't we? We did the was it the Griffin lockdown sessions?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that live streamed
Yeah.
like Griffin
Oh, that's
session.
cool, yeah.
We did
I remember
that.
those.
I actually think I watched that. Maybe it wasn't the first time I saw you Metal to the Masses then.
Yeah, there you go. So it's kind of entangled with this band's legacy in a way. Is like this venue did for us what I think this venue's done for so many other people, which is give them a platform to start,
Absolutely.
start networking,
yeah.
start showing people, and then from that you just get kind of fish hooked into different places. You know?
Support your
Yeah.
grassroots. We always say it. We say it every
100%.
episode.
Yeah.
Get down, buy a ticket, come down here, support it. You know?
So it's kind of poetic. First gig here, first podcast here.
There you
yeah,
go.
good.
Yeah,
Don't forget the best one.
yeah damn right.
Yeah.
Not the best podcast, the best gig, but.
Yeah, we're supposed to sound the podcast. Come on, man. So yeah, how about some of your influences? I would say Avatar is a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I love
ironically,
Avatar.
we didn't discover Avatar until we were already in the band.
I know.
Really?
Like, I didn't know about Avatar until years after we started doing it.
All right.
Like,
Yeah.
So who were the original influences?
The original
then?
influences for me, on one hand it was like emo, it was like My Chemical Romance, that sort of stuff, because they really kind of harped on the visuals.
Yeah,
early,
100%,
right?
yeah.
And then I'm a massive System of a Down fan, especially like Mesmerised, Hypnotised,
Yeah.
that kind of dual album, the big concept kind of condensed into what on the surface appeared to be quite silly songs,
Yeah.
but then that kind of ability to develop meaning in the stupidity was really exciting for me. And then we can't really deny Tool, can we? Like,
No.
Tool is there, it's right there for us. Yeah,
Good combination of ends, to be fair.
yeah, I think so. It definitely was I thought it was going to be a hard sell, but I mean, you saw the posts and decided to join a band.
well,
so-
originally you said, "Oh yeah, I want to start like an emo band," and I was like, "Cool." I had a massive red fringe and eyeliner on, so I was like, "Fuck it, let's go." And now we do this instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can still wear eyeliner if you want. You know?
I do still. We all do.
yeah, damn right. Yeah, so yeah, originally emo band, but then metal very quickly creeped in, and I think it was more for the expressionism back then. We never really set out to be anything other than like the literal first concept was here's a play by Sarah Kane, who's an author who passed away when she was like 27 due to really profound mental health difficulties, and I was obsessed with it, and that was part of my uni project, was bringing music to that play.
Right.
And that's where a lot of that long speeches in the early songs came from, to just finding the music that fit that, and then suddenly all these external influences just fell into it. You know, Dale has always said, our bass player, I'm not a metal musician. I don't like metal.
He doesn't listen to metal.
Yeah.
Like he
Sometimes
likes
that can be a
Primus.
really good thing too, though, because you come into it fresh.
Yeah.
You just bring your own thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he always, like, whenever we write songs, he always approaches it like he's putting on some sort of theatre show.
Okay.
Because in him, it goes in like acts. Act one of the song is this. Act two of the song is this. You
Oh,
know?
that's cool.
Yeah.
Does he always wear the apron, even in rehearsals?
Yeah. He has to wear it while he eats because he's a very messy guy.
He is a messy guy.
Just for our listeners, when I saw him last week was 2 weeks ago, whenever Metal Masses was. Yeah, your bass player came out, like, he's quite a big dude.
Yeah.
and just a black leather apron. And I was glad he didn't turn around because I didn't know if there was anything else going on.
Yeah. Well,
Nope.
the irony is, like when we first started, so Dale used to work at TGI Fridays in Cabot.
Really?
And he'd just show up after dish shifts covered in water.
And that is still the very same apron he wears on show.
He bought it
shows
from
to this
TGI.
day.
Wow.
Love it. That time for that.
That's so funny.
So, kind of took. I was going to go on later about the whole apron thing. What about the rest of your kind of stage setup? Where did that all come from?
Well, so we started with masks.
What kind of masks did you have?
So all the band had blank white masks, and then I had like a plague doctor mask.
Oh.
Very cool.
And it was cool for the anonymity was really nice for the band because it made it feel eerie and a bit uncanny valley. Quickly found that wearing a plague doctor mask and trying to sing was
exposed. Yeah.
And then it was our headline Griffin show that I started doing the makeup because I was like, guys, I need someone on my face to stand out from you guys, but I ain't wearing this mask anymore. It's dead. And then a couple months went by, maybe even a couple of years. It was a couple of years before you guys then took the masks off and also started doing it.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you slowly gouge them out.
Because it was sort of, well, yeah, they eventually become more and more broken.
Yeah.
They got to the
Which
point
added
where
to
it's
the
like,
effect.
well, yeah, eventually it's like,
Yours
fuck
ended
the
up as
mask.
a half mask in the end, didn't it? It was
Yeah.
like Phantom of the Opera.
It ended up always cutting my nose whenever I had to sing. Like,
I mean, Johnny's got a story of why we had to stop with the masks. Do you remember that Cobblestone show where I spat in your face?
no, that wasn't at the Cobblestones. That was at the Old England in Bristol.
Sorry, yeah.
You spat directly in my face, and it went in the eye hole of the mask. And just for the rest of the show, I just had to put with it. But it fucking stank, man.
Oh my god.
I was a very heavy
It's a
smoker
big
at that
loogie
point.
just right in the eye.
It sounded like you've been. Well, it fucking smelt like you've been having a long night with your girlfriend in bed or something. Like, it was
Bloody
fucking.
hell.
It was fucking some sort of pungent, like.
But like, the moment for me I realised that they shouldn't be wearing the masks is when we were in rehearsal. We do like one of our rehearsals before a gig is like a dress run, right, where we just go balls to the wall, and they'd forgotten their masks. And I suddenly saw all the faces they were pulling behind their masks. Yeah. I was like, I am robbing you guys of stage presence.
Just girding away behind the masks.
Yeah, and we had to show the crowd. They had to take them off, and that first show we did it. We actually made a bit of a thing of it. Of like,
I was just going to say, did you make a thing of it?
Yeah, it was like final song. They all took them off, and it was a weird moment because you think when you're planning it, it's like, oh, it's just a fun little gimmick moment. You know, everyone sees visually that you've changed. But the atmosphere on stage, that was then the validating thing of like,
oh, cool.
Everyone just sort of burst out their shell and was so excited to really engage with that audience. And I was like, that has to stay.
Awesome.
Cool.
You know,
That's awesome.
That's very cool. Where did that happen?
That was Metal to the Masses. That was Metal to the Masses.
It was.
That was the first year we did Bristol.
Yeah, it was before that because we weren't wearing masks during the Bridgewater final.
You're right. Yeah, that was during the Southwest. That was the Masses, so Bridgewater.
Ah.
Yeah.
But how long have you guys been together as a band then?
6 years.
6 years, wow.
Yeah.
Two-
Stop start. It's been
Yeah.
not 6 consistent years.
Yeah.
But 6 good years.
Well, yeah, obviously a couple of years of COVID in the mix of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Were you able to do anything during COVID? I know you couldn't get out and stuff, but did you do any live streaming stuff between yourselves or?
no.
That period of the band was really hard. I often don't really think about it. I was in Leeds, so I lived 6 hours away from Bristol, and I would travel. I think we managed 8 shows while I was in Leeds, maybe a few more. But I would travel 6 hours a time just to rehearse, just to play gigs.
That's commitment. Well done.
Yeah, but at the same time, it was like, I don't think I could do that now. You know?
No.
Yeah, you just sort of make. I think that's the story of COVID for most people, is just making it work, right?
Yeah.
Griffin being a prime example of it.
Yeah, and a lot of us was. I think we did a couple of interviews with friends just to keep the knowledge that the band is alive going. But it was hard, you know. Yeah, we really shrunk back down into the recesses, you know.
As did everyone else, I suspect.
Yeah, 100%. And then when we came back out, then some of the bands were like, "Oh my god, let's do shows again."
Yeah.
And that was really exciting. This band has essentially had like 3 peaks and 3 troughs so far, and that going into the third time now that we've got Dalen on drums and stuff was tough because you start thinking that every time something goes well, you're like, yeah, what's going to happen next?
Where's the
What's
other shoe
gonna
going to
happen
drop?
next?
Yeah. Fair enough.
But it keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
Because it sounds really cliche to say, and I think a lot of bands like to think this way, is treat every gig like it's your last.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame to say that, though, because I get why you say it, because then you got the energy and you're like, well, it's the last we'll end in a high.
Yeah.
But it's not good that you're in the mindset that, oh, well, this is something we like and this is the end.
You say that. I think for me, I worry that the moment I become complacent
Right.
is the moment that we stop giving off Smile More. You know, and
Fair, yeah.
I think that adrenaline and that standard is what holds me to account, you know. I think if I took it as a given that, we could keep going for the rest of our lives and it'll be fine, I wouldn't push, I wouldn't motivate, you know.
That's
Yeah.
good motivation there, really.
Yeah, so linking it back to your point, which was COVID and what we did during it, I think really we all just sunk into a bit of reclusion. But then that now is given that contrast of like, and that's not happening again.
Yeah.
You know? Do you
Yeah.
feel the same way?
It took far too long to actually start to get anything done. Because throughout that entire time, it was like 2 years or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I wrote like 2 songs.
Yeah.
And then we came back and like played those songs and like filled it out properly. But
Was
in
it
the
just
past,
kind of you couldn't be arsed, just didn't see the point, or?
when you've been playing instruments for so long, it starts to become really boring playing on your own.
Yeah, fair.
You have to play with other people for it to be exciting. So like the past 6 months, we've done like 5 songs.
5 songs,
Yeah.
5 songs, 6 months.
Like,
But like songs to a high standard, songs that have been axed as well, right? Like
yeah.
that one.
We chuck away more than we use.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
Should always keep them, though. You never know when
Oh yeah.
might release an EP later down the year, or
It's also can be useful to have, because you can go back to something like a year or
Rework
so
it.
later and then be like, oh, there's something here. But that's
or
really
behind
cool.
the scenes for Delisle fans. Or,
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with that. Like we've got a song coming out probably, and I say probably around about April, May time, that we have literally had recorded on a computer for 2 years.
Fair enough.
And our guitarist Chris put it perfectly. We were sat having a band meeting, just figuring out what we were going to do. And he went, why the fuck isn't it out?
Yeah. I was basically just going to ask that question. Like, what? Why haven't you
and
released
we all
it?
just went, well, we it was the weakest one on that batch of recordings. He's like, yeah, but we own it. We've paid for it.
Yeah.
Give it to them.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, in terms of release, like anyone that's in bands knows that you can go balls to the wall of a release, or you can go very low key release, and it will be a very low key release. But
Get in touch with Black City.
yeah, getting it out and just getting it there. You
Yeah.
know?
Is it all self-funded?
Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
So you've got your own recording studio, you pay someone else for it?
We worked with Joe Marsh for the first few. So he's a guy that works out of Barton St Davidson, Somerton, like Somerset area.
yeah, Orchard Studios.
Orchard Studios.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this time we're working with kind of a local legend, really, Cray Zellinger. Worked with like Moon Reaper and a bunch of other acts. Like,
That's cool.
If I had Chris out there, could just literally list them, couldn't he?
Yeah, he'd flick out his little notebook.
Yeah. And it's something that we've known for a number of years, but we just never really worked with. And it became a no-brainer, and we were just like, oh, well, we want to
How
do
did
this
that
stuff.
come to light? How did that, if you've known him for so long?
Yeah, it's cool. It's one of those where we've always had Cray in the back of our heads.
Yeah.
We're
We're weighing up actually getting more recording done.
Yeah.
And we're like, what's the cheapest we can make 5 songs for? We're like, Cray, please. Cray, make it cheap.
Yeah.
But, no, he did a really good price for really good recordings.
He did.
So,
We didn't know his price before requesting, though.
no.
That was just like, it was like, well, we worked with Joe last time, we liked what he did, but we wanted to, anyone that's in bands knows that you get to a point where you're like, how do we make this work with the finances we have?
Yeah.
So we knew we had to hybridize the process. The way we did it the first time was go hole yourself in a studio for 5 days, come out with 5 songs.
Yeah.
This time was much more, that's not going to be affordable. So we wanted someone that was local, someone that was part of the local scene,
Yeah.
who had a local studio.
Yeah.
So we spent about 400 quid on taxis last time.
Oh
didn't we?
man, none of us drove, so
Yeah.
Somerset is not well connected.
No.
Yeah, and so it was like, right, cut costs there, so we're not wasting on travel and accommodation. Be able to then spend the same, if not more, on producer and then time scale as well can be way more flexible. Before it was like, if we didn't have it done those 5 days, it's gone.
Yeah.
Whereas this is much more like, we've done the drums out at Orchard Studios again, because Craig works out the same place.
Cool.
But now we're coming back to do all of the guitars and vocals and layering here in Bristol, which is great, you know. And his studio is his girlfriend. I think it's his girlfriend, or is it his wife? I don't know.
Partner.
His partner Karen.
Mrs. on the side.
Is a tattoo artist that owns a tattoo studio up in Filton.
Oh yeah.
And then underneath there they have the recording studio.
Oh, cool.
So
that's
it's-
cool.
Yeah. So it, and
Jim needs to get on that.
Yeah.
Recording studio under the.
yeah, but it's literally Matteo.
Hopefully one day.
Yeah. But that's really close to where a lot of the band members live, so we can just go and stay at their
Cool,
place
yeah.
with it for a day, and yeah. So this time was the draw for Craig was a much more kind of integrated process of just being able to afford to be present, rather than this kind of time pressure eating away at our ability to just have the positivity to. You know, we write quite chaotic, bright, fun music, and it can be really difficult to bring that into a space. So when you're removing these pressures and get that creative freedom back, it's electrifying, you know?
So are you actually planning to write stuff in the studio, or are you going with stuff already written and getting it just recorded?
So
Or
we're going with stuff we've already got. This time the writing process is very divided among all members, which is nice. What songs are we doing again, Johnny?
We are doing Gay Parlay.
Yep.
Oh, you played that one.
We are doing Fists of Holy Fury.
Yep.
Suck Me Dry.
Yep.
Played that one. Remember that one?
It's alright, I got you. We're doing Punch and Judy.
Yes.
Great song.
And we are doing System Overload.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
When I was reviewing you on the episode we did after the Metal to the Masses, you should listen to it.
I will make sure I do.
I made a particular comment about the Punch and Judy one, that you had the crowd basically saying, "Get your hand out of my arsehole,"
Yes.
for a good 30 seconds. And it was quite hilarious.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it started with, you know that thing that we all used to laugh at, is just horrible, like domestic abuse, and we're all just sitting and laughing at it. And it was like, and then you starting the song. It was well done. I liked it.
Puppets make anything funny.
They do. They do. That is the universal.
This is very true. This is very true.
A lot of my songs start with these really like profound concepts, and then I just come up with something horrible.
Then we
don't
just
I?
ruin it. Yeah. We start with a lovely, beautiful song, and then we fucking ruin it every time.
The gab I gave at the start of Punch Judy was genuinely the reaction. Chris was like, I wrote a song, it's to replace Happy Bus, which was a cover we did. And he was like, it's about puppets. And I sat on it I was like, right. And then he was like, we were all talking, and we were like, what puppets are? Muppets? It's too clean. And I was like, do you know what the most underrated, most fucked up thing that was paraded in front of children was?
Yeah.
Punch and Judy.
It is
Even
weird.
the name.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just
the
watching
law-
them get battered.
Yeah, but the lore of Punch and Judy is like so fucking
Yeah.
odd, like the
Mate,
weird.
They had a kid at one point.
Yeah.
Did it beat the shit out of that as well?
No, but I dread to think how he was when
Did
he
he get
grew
thrown
up.
out a window? I swear I got thrown out a window.
Yeah.
That used to be part of like the classic
Yeah.
story.
Well, I wouldn't marry someone called Punch myself.
Yeah, but Punch didn't do any of the hitting, that's the irony.
No.
It was all Judy.
He just took it on the chin, didn't
He's a
he?
bit of a bitch.
He was the punchline of the joke.
So he was.
When you put it that way, yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and so then the first verses were like, it's presented as this like kind of traditional family values of like a wife and a husband and their family. And then second verse, it transitioned straight to like just verbal abuse and like fucking do the dishes, bitch, make my bed.
Literally the lyrics
Yeah.
there, by the way.
And then the take your hand out my asshole bit was like, people say that, don't they? They say, get off me, get out me, get my ass, like fuck off, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, they're puppets.
Yeah.
Your hand is
Yeah.
literally up their asshole. Like we can't
I like
not
it.
sing it.
And get everyone else singing it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can have meaning, even though it sounds like a bunch of bollocks.
Honestly, like if you were to describe Smile More to your mates, it's like it sounds like a bunch of bollocks, but I swear it does have meaning.
I need to think about my life.
You got to read between those lines, but it is there.
It is there. Yeah.
So that's exciting. So when do we expect to get that recorded out to the public?
Yeah, so it's gonna. So this month we're finishing up the recordings. And then with Cocaine coming out, the one that was axed and just on a PC, kind of around May time. The first track of this batch, we haven't decided which one's going to be first yet, will probably come out around July. So around the final of Metal to the Masses, that kind of real big
time to show it off.
Just a crescendo moment, you know?
Yeah.
And what's nice is, like, even if we don't win the semis or get to that point, just having that thing there for us to go, do you know what? And we did that, and now here's this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to kind of use the momentum, as it were.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
I mean, even if it doesn't, let's say you're at the semis kind of thing, there's no harm in actually playing it live for the first time.
Definitely, 100%.
I think that would be quite fun. Even if you didn't get through, that's a nice mark to kind of go, actually, we've done something cool here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
But you guys mentioned earlier about, like, have you guys been at some of the other Metal to the Masses then?
Yeah. So we did Bridgewater.
Yeah.
And then we did...
Where the fuck's Bridgewater?
It's in the middle of Somerset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just past...
It's like
between.
Yeah, okay, that's what I am.
Yeah.
Down in 5 and then off the motorway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those places it's giving me, it's like train station that I just go through vibes.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weirdly got a pretty good metal scene.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. Well, they got the Metal to the Masses, so...
It is quite affronting, isn't it?
It's a very awful place, which is probably why there's a good metal scene. It's quite depressing.
It's like Black Sabbath in Birmingham, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Birmingham Grey.
Yeah.
Whole evening wear department based off that.
Makes some good music though.
Yeah. So our Metal to the Masses heritage is over a number of years now. So I think this is our third Bristol one. Yeah.
So you've only been going for 6 years. That's pretty good.
Third Bristol one, and then we did Bridgewater the year before that. So we've had like 4 years of doing a Metal to the Masses.
Well, last year didn't count.
No, we didn't have a drummer, and we had to...
We had a blow-up doll and a backing track.
Oh,
It
no.
was rough.
You were saying that happened one of the bands you saw?
Yes, what is it, Die Tomorrow? Yeah, because their
That's
drummer
nice,
was in
people said.
hospital, so
Yeah.
they ended up. And you could just see, like, I actually really liked them, but when they kind of got into the swing of it, but you could just tell it, like, thrown them off.
Yeah.
Like, trying to play to, like, this electronic.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
it is hard.
unnatural.
Just, yeah.
And, it's one thing doing it in your rehearsal rooms where you got it nice and loud and in your ears, but when you're stood on the stage, that I never really understood until that moment how much energy just having someone slapping 7 shits out of a drum skin gives.
I mean, and also, we just have to be real, like, unless it's, like, mixed extremely well. Unless it's, like, mixed extremely well, like, the sound of it can just be, like, pretty bad. Like, that kind of electronic snare can just really cut through, like, anything.
It doesn't sound as good. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound natural
Yeah.
unless that's like the style you're going for.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly, yeah.
Like Andromeda's do it really well because
do
that's their
outstanding.
vibe.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And they refined it, you know. I think for us, like that being its first outing as well was like,
Yeah,
wow,
because for us
so
it was a bandage, not a feature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right.
And that's going to show, like, if you're not used to playing with it, like,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard. And as you say, when you dare with a drummer, you can feel them behind you. Like,
Yeah.
You know, if someone starts to drift, you know, the drummer will bring you back kind of thing.
Well, as you commented about like the gab and stuff like that, you know, if I'm doing it to a backing track that is rigid because that's the drums we got, I'm on a timer.
Yeah. Basically,
So I've got to get the words out
It puts you on a
before the next
timer.
song
Yeah, you
starts,
can't. There's no room for experimentation
Yeah.
with the backing track. Is
Now
there?
it's just like we have a list of cues.
Yeah.
Dalen listens for those cues. When the cues go, song start. You know.
Good old Dalen.
Yeah.
Isn't he in like 3 bands that are in Metal to the Masses now?
2 that are in Metal to the Masses.
2 that are in
but
Metal
he
to
is
the
in
Masses.
3 bands.
Yeah.
You know.
Poor
sort of band
drummers.
he's in?
What?
What sort of band he's in?
So he's in a metalcore outfit called World Error.
That's it. Yeah.
He's into like a death metal-y kind of prog thing with Heather, who was the singer of Cyber Void, and local legend Chris Sladden, who is he's a riff machine. They're called Archimori. And
They're in Metal to the
they're
Masses,
in Metal
right?
to the
Yeah.
Masses. And then obviously us.
Yeah.
But we got to him first, so he's got,
Yeah.
you know, we branded him.
No, that's
He's
fair.
ours.
No, it's
So
happened.
if the other band get through and Smile More don't, and you break his legs.
Wow. You didn't hear it here. Just, you know.
So tell us a bit about the Bridgewater one then. So how were you able to apply for that? Because I thought it was done by location, as in you have to be in Bristol, for instance.
So, do you know what, weirdly enough, from my experience with Metal to the Masses, and maybe this isn't how they're supposed to be run, it's never been that.
Yeah.
No.
I saw some stuff this year about a bunch of. It sounds like they're trying to be a little bit more militant about being like, right, where are the
I mean, isn't
bands
there like
from?
a Cardiff band and the Bristol Melts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go then. That's out the window then.
Joe, I get it though, because I think in terms of the franchise and things like that, like we were talking, I think when you were tattooing me about Scotland.
Scotland, when I talked to Hammers, funny enough, I'm wearing their shirt today. Yeah, I was talking to Hammers when I mentioned it, and like basically all of Scotland has one Metal to the Masses.
So you can't do Edinburgh locality, you know?
Yeah, that's basically and like one of the one of the guitarists from Hammers was saying, like obviously that just means it's hugely unfair to any bands that don't come from Edinburgh or anything like that, or Glasgow, because they have to like basically ferry their entire fan base with them to like actually try and get anywhere. But yeah, so I'd understand like, you know, bands from Scotland maybe going over the border to some of the other
we had
ones.
offers to do one of the years to do the Plymouth one.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get enough bands on their bill. And
Really?
and we hadn't applied yet.
Devon's metal scene's fucking dead, man.
It's
always
trying,
been dead.
but
it's trying, but
again,
like
think about that. The whole of Devon and your Metal to the Masses is Plymouth. Right?
Yeah. Which is out of the way as fuck.
Yeah,
as
and
well
then
to
even
get
then,
to.
because Livewire on it, it's Saltash, so it's technically Cornwall.
Yeah.
You know, so it cuts off a lot of bands. So we almost did that one. We did the Bridgewater one because we couldn't get on the Bristol one that year. We were worried Bristol weren't going to announce one for whatever reason. One year. Yeah, we were new to it. We didn't know.
And to be fair, I'm actually from the southwest, so we're allowed it now.
Yeah, that's it. You got your card.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically I was from Cornwall, so that's where I got my card.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we weren't playing the system. But we were worried, so we approached the Cobblestones first, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're running one." And then Bristol used to have this issue of not announcing their Metal to the Masses until like late into the year of Metal to the Masses, and it became, you know, are they, aren't they?
Right, so then it's always a bit down to the wire. If you're a band, then you're like, well, if we
How do I
don't
plan this?
how do we plan it and stuff? Especially because they've got all those rules about not being able to play like two sides of the shows and stuff. So
and that's the beauty of doing the Bridgewater one.
We're not going to be doing it anyway.
We can go back to Bristol and play shows as
well.
well.
The first heats of those Southwest ones were before the Bristol one were even announced.
Yes, yeah, they were.
So obviously we're gonna just go ahead and do what we knew was happening.
Yeah, so we got, you know, we came. There were some really great bands in that, like. Off the top of my head, like the first year we did it was Grove Warden and those guys. And
they're playing somewhere in Bristol in the next few weeks, actually.
Yeah, no, wicked band, honestly. Check them out.
They're really good.
And so then we went through the heat process there, and then we all ended up on the final, and that was nuts.
Yeah.
They did it in the where did they do it? It was like a theatre, wasn't it?
It was the Bridgewater Town Hall, which is an old theatre, and it was the coolest stage you've ever played on.
It was just a huge
It was
theatre
amazing.
stage.
A huge
Kinda
old
suits the
theatre
style,
stage.
really.
Yeah.
It did. Like, each of us individually had as much space as we normally all have collectively.
We all had a Griffin stage worth to ourselves.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did that.
Good turnout as well. It was like 400, 500 people there.
Getting all those
Cool.
people in Bridgewater, fair play.
Yeah.
Did that one. And then the year after, we were like, do you know what? We changed our mentality. So I think that being our first one, let's win it. The year after was like, hang on, we got so much out of that, but it's all localised around Bridgewater. Why don't we do Bristol and we just focus on coming away with it as much as we can?
Like,
So we did that, and then we got to the final of that one. Then we did it again the year that Moon Reaper won it.
Yeah.
And played it the same way. We were like,
Yeah.
right, let's just get as much as we can out of it. And then we got to the final, and then Moon Reaper won. And then our drummer Ruben unfortunately decided that it wasn't his thing anymore.
Right.
And he left, and we'd already signed up for Bristol, and that's why we left.
Right, okay. That's how you
we had a good discourse. I mean, credit to the guys in Mortishead. They were so supportive of all of it. They were like, we'll try and help you find a drummer. So they were putting posts out and reaching out to people and stuff.
Is that the guys running it now? The guys who are running... Yeah, because they won there. So this is what... Remember I said that they won the 2015 one, I think that's what you said that they won?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so they now run the Bristol one.
And they beat Harriet, right?
Yeah, well, that's what he said on stage anyway. Yeah, he was like basically saying to the bands that had lost, like don't take it too badly. Like we won 2015, Harriet lost that year. Look at them now. So,
And I do think that I find every year you get a couple of bands, and I won't name them because I get it. You're here and you really want to be heard and you want to be respected, but that lose sight of what it is you're doing.
Yeah.
It's actually you're just showing that you can hold your own against these other really good
Yeah,
bands in the
yeah.
scene, you know?
I definitely think you're right. Like the attitude of going into it, it's like, yeah, of course, like, you know, you want to go out there and do your best and play a really good set, and obviously it's really nice to like have that recognised and get through and get voted through and stuff. And yeah, but if you just go into it with this like we have to win mindset, then it just that will leak through, and then of course if you don't win, then suddenly your whole world's falling apart. Then haven't you? Because it's just like,
and this being our fourth, like we've seen those bands go into that competition, and it drives a wedge.
Yeah,
because
they start blaming each other for you screwed up.
Or like it can even get down to people being like, right, they took slightly too long in their pack down. They must be trying to sabotage us.
Right,
like,
people getting really genuinely paranoid about stuff.
It's okay.
We were the sound guy. Like must know. I saw them talking to someone in another band, and I think that they messed our sound up on purpose.
And Motorhead go out of their way really to try and even that. Like they're not massive fans of people bringing their own lighting. Because they want that to be an even set stage. Requests from the sound guy are limited. You know, like you can tell him that you've got this X thing that he needs to be aware of on stage, but he's not going to do any special mix for you.
Yeah, everyone gets the same treatment, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's how it will be at Bloodstock.
Well,
exactly. Yeah, usually,
they're very tight there. You have to do what you're told, to be honest.
Well, exactly.
Got to get on that stage and get off. Yeah, they're not there.
You have a slot. You plug your head in. Yeah. Some guy can go like this and you go.
It doesn't matter if you're big shit in Bristol.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. That's definitely a really good point.
If you play it that way and you actually recognise that, hang on, like for example, we hit the semi-final phase now. So now everyone's made it through a heat. Everyone's shown that they're capable of pulling a crowd and performing at a certain level. So then you look around you and you look at who's there and you go, fuck, this is kind of cool. Like, this could be a tour. This could be this. This could be all of us being at this level.
Yeah. Funnily enough, that's exactly where the Hammerstein came from.
Yeah. So it was like basically the winners of Scotland, the winners of Newcastle, and the winners of Western-super-Mare. So they all just went on tour together. They basically all just played their own hometowns, and then they each headlined their own. And then Bristol was the one-off one because they wanted to play the Griffin. So yeah, and because they'd all made friends like at Bloodstock, basically. So yeah,
which was very cool. I totally agree with you. Like, if everyone's at the same level, you clearly beat people to get there. Yeah. And, there should be an element of respect for each other at that 100%. Stage. Even 100%. If you don't go any further, appreciate that. And
the competition's laid out to encourage that because that audience vote gets less and less.
Does it?
Yeah, it goes from 50-50 to 75-25 to judge vote.
Oh, right. Didn't know that.
And they do that intentionally because then it's to remove that personalness of it. It's them deciding who they want to play Bloodstock.
Yeah.
It's not you're better than you.
Yeah.
You know?
Or you managed to bring more people on the day. Because I remember, like, look, I mean, I love the Sebrivation boys to pieces, but like I remember this is like over a decade ago now. When Sebrivation were like just the shit in Bristol. They were like, the big thrash band. Everyone knew who they were. They were going to release a proper album. They were going to Italy to like record it. They were like looking at record labels and all this kind of stuff. And of course they entered metal to the masses, and it was just like a given. Yeah. And I think back then it was still massively pretty much done on if who you brought with you got counted. That's how it got counted. Is you came, literally as you walked in the door, they asked you who are you here to see. And then they said, who are you here to see second, who are you here to see third? So that decision's been made already before you've even watched any of the bands,
really
right?
Bad. That's really bad.
And I just remember like it was just a lock. Like they're really good. Sebrivation are fucking awesome, but it was just like that's happening. Like Sebrivation are going to win this year's Metal to the Masses. They're going to play Bloodstock this year. Like done. And I think I remember that because I remember that. I think that was the first one the Cruelty Circuit entered years ago when they first like had Amma, when they still had like Amma singing for them and stuff like way back in the day. I'm fairly sure that was when Cruelty Circuit first entered, and of
that'd
course
be a fun tour. Cruelty Circuit and Smilemore.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun. Be raucous.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about the So the whole crowd thing, like it still is there for a degree. Like year one. Mandragora, how do you pronounce Mandragora?
Yeah, Mandragora, yeah.
Mandragora, they brought a lot of people with them.
Yeah.
And instantly the crowd were more elevated, and you're like, well, they're clearly getting through.
Yeah.
Which I kind of disagree with. Like, if I was the judges, I'd be kind of going, okay, that's fine, they brought their friends and family.
Yeah, of course.
However, if you're playing Bloodstock, you're not going to have your friends and family there. You're going to be playing to thousands of people that don't know you. Yeah, so you need to be able to bring the energy and convert them.
I got on good authority, and I won't name my source because it's not. how that back end of that first round went.
Yeah.
And you know, it was very much there was certain bands that were like that crowd vote insane, and also that same band, fortunately in this scenario, judge vote was also insane.
Right.
They looked at the whole package and went, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
And then band below it, same deal.
I got my inside scoop from the judges. I can't really talk about it, but yeah, I know that there was a bit of a disagreement with the judges on your guys' night, not about you guys or that, but it was about two of the one of the bands that went through. There was a bit of a split with the judges about who they wanted to go through that night.
Yeah.
But it happens.
No, I was really happy with like who ended up going through.
Yeah.
Because who was that last band that went on?
Into Obscurity.
Yeah, I really liked them.
I
really nice.
didn't. Their clean stuff was not on at all. Their heavy stuff was good.
To be honest, when I first went into the venue that day, like the singer just came up to me and just introduced himself really nice and friendly.
Is that a good example? That would make a good impression.
It was really nice to see them go through because they actually put in the effort in every aspect. It's not just going up and thinking, I'm amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ruin this crowd.
I agree.
Like, you know,
I would have liked to have seen the first time go through the Atira.
Yeah.
Because they brought the energy, they were the first one on, and they did a good job of getting the crowd going. Yeah. So I wanted you guys, Atira, and probably Mondrago. I keep getting the name wrong. Mandragora, that's the one. As I said in the podcast, she did have a kind of an alluring presence about her. Like, regardless of the friends and stuff there, like, they were really nice on stage.
Yeah, one of the beauties of being in Smalmore is that you have to take your makeup off at a certain point in the night, right?
Right.
The amount of times that I go to a bathroom to take off the gear and then I bump into the other bands, but it's so nice when like people are just there and you're there doing your like freaking reverse get ready with me.
Yeah.
They're like,
and you can't see, just melting off your face.
And then you're like, you can't see, so you're like, which band are you? And they tell you, and then you get that opportunity to give them the rundown of all the things you love about them. Like that is such a nice.
It's really
moment,
nice. Yeah, the community around like actually just playing live music is always a lot of fun.
And that night, I got to say, like, the bands that played, the level of respect and care and authenticity in that room of how they communicate with each other, it was lovely. You know, we got a good scene. We got a really good scene.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like. I think I said this before on the podcast, but it's quite because I said it. It's like when I left Bristol for 10 years, the scene kind of dipped, and now I'm back. It's gotten better. But no, I mean, it does. It was a bit weird. Like it did feel like when I left, it was already a bit on the wane. Like for whatever reason, it just felt like maybe it kind of had its moment. Like Bristol had this really heavy. It was like a massive thing for grindcore. Like grindcore was huge here for like a solid 7 years. Like it was like a lot of bands and all this really good stuff, loads of big tours, big bands coming here, and then like it kind of went through, and it's really nice to see that it seems to be really like back now. Like it's really established. You've got everything from like, you know, the extreme metal to the hardcore kids to the fucking black metal, death metal. Like it's just everywhere. It's like all of it. Yeah.
Like in the first heat, seeing like Twin Skeletons go through.
Yeah, exactly.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
because they are, you know, they're very. They fall into that maybe hard rock, alt rock territory.
Yeah, 100%.
But they brought it and they presented it in this really well put together way.
I really like them.
For us, that already set the tone for this year's competition, which was like, oh yeah, it's kind of anyone's game. It's all flavour at this point, you know.
I mean, that I said it when I reviewed it, but like that Buried in Bermuda just felt like a bit of a layup. Like they just came out, and I was just like, oh fucking hell, like these guys are really good, you know. Like I was like, fuck, you know, like there's going to be some interesting ones as the rounds go on, I guess. Yeah,
I was surprised when I kind of looked through the bands that it is completely random. Yeah, which is good. But then I kind of thought, would it be better if we'd say, I don't know, you had black metal there, you had a
I don't know, no, but then because then it doesn't. Then you end up voting off. You know, maybe then because then what happens if you end up with 5 really good black metal bands, but they all have to play one day, and then 2 really good bands get kicked out because they 3 bands can go through.
Your final kind of reveals a flavour if you do it the other way, right?
Yeah,
like you had 5 black metal bands spread across all the heats, and they all
get through.
Yeah.
Now you have the black metal showdown.
True. Yeah. Very true.
It's like a elimination chamber.
Can rewind a little bit because the whole Metal to Masses thing, I'm obviously aware of it.
Yeah.
How, as a band, do you come about it? How do you enter it?
Enter the competition?
Yeah. Like what do you have to do?
It depends on the years. First year was really quite straightforward. That was we were late to the party, saw a post come out from the guy that runs the cobbles, asking for bands, but he'd also DM'd us directly and been like, "Yo, doing this competition for Bloodstock, you might want to do it." And we were,
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
and then the Bristol ones was basically Chris has attended them, like our guitarist, for like years.
Yeah,
and so
It's
he
been going
would
for so
always
long.
just get there straight away.
Yeah.
And be like, "Oh, I've submitted us for Metal to the Masses." So it's an online form essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Post comes out saying applications are open.
Yeah.
Link to a form. You fill out the form, send it off. Then we've had years where they haven't had enough bands, or they've had too many bands, and then if they've got too many, like this year they were inundated. They had to then do sort of like a first come first serve chopping block thing.
So it's literally first come first serve.
Yeah, that, supposedly, right? We don't know the back end.
I
but
think it, because a lot of the years haven't actually filled up all of the spaces they have available. This year they actually have more than was available.
That's
so
quite
that I
surprising.
think they did actually choose ahead of time who.
some of the bands they wanted to go into the competition.
Yeah.
That seems a bit mad, because surely the in-goal playing Bloodstock would be in every band's...
You would think so.
Like, I would have thought every year would be full.
But competition's interesting because it's all about what your band's doing at the time.
Yeah.
You know, for us, we like the competition being the centre point of the year. Not only because it slightly pulls off gig pressure a bit, because you're building to one big gig every couple of months.
Oh yeah.
But also because the standard of that gig is always really, really good.
Yeah.
But a lot of other bands, you know, if you're doing mini tours and things like that, like
You're not
you've
around.
got money
Take
to be
a-
made.
yeah, you know, you can't
don't
take
make
off.
money from Metal to the
Yeah,
Masses,
true.
right? So there are bands that haven't played Bloodstock that are at a higher level than us that would go, I can't really do Metal to the Masses at the moment.
Exactly.
And
For
those are the
the
bands that end
basically.
up coming in and with the mindset of to win it.
Right.
Right, so like for a lot of bands at that level, it's like we'll do it, so we play Bloodstock.
Yeah.
But there are other ways into Bloodstock as well that people
Yeah,
often
yeah,
forget.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Jaeger stage is really quite straightforward to get on as long as you've got a decent following and a decent reputation. You know, you reach out to the organizer. If he's got space, he puts you on.
Yeah.
There's been bands that have been approached to go on to the New Blood stage that haven't done a Metal to the Masses.
No,
you
because
know?
they've still got space to fill. It can't be
100%.
filled by all the Metal to
So-
the Masses that are just in the UK.
I think depending on the route your band chooses to go, if Bloodstock's the goal, you pick the route to Bloodstock that works for you.
There's also snobbery, by the way. Like I remember, like the grindcore scene and the punk scene. You know, they look at it and go like, "Oh, we're not doing a fucking Battle to the Masses."
Just go for that.
Like, basically, yeah. You know, like when it's not fucking like, ugh, you know, like we're not. Yeah, you know. So there's that as well. Like there's that. You know, so there's plenty of different reasons why bands don't do
the
it.
main thing for us is the network opportunity.
Yeah, it's
Very
fun.
rare that you encounter so many bands in a short space of time.
Yeah.
Again,
And bands from different diaspora as well. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
you said, you know, you've got like the kind of like hard rock stuff or like
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. Yeah.
And we operate in quite a strange niche. You know, when we were building bills back before COVID and stuff, like they were so eclectic.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't pinpoint ourselves.
Yeah.
So we were going, well, it'd be really nice. We always liked having like a punk opener or someone really nice and in your face, and then. Oh, well, you know, we're quite heavy in places, so maybe we'll just get a doom band to subhead.
Right.
You know? So, again, that, being able to play for the bands that you're playing with, so they get it.
Right,
And they're
yeah.
like,
So
you
then
like
when,
what
when
we
you
do,
hit them up to
like-
ask them if they want to play a show
They
later,
have it
then
in
they
their
already
heads,
know what
you
you're
know.
getting
So has
into.
that actually happened to you? Have you got many contacts from over the years? And
Yeah, so yeah, a lot
across
of the bands
bands?
that we request for different things, or we ask to do shows with and stuff, all came from Metal to the Masses.
So we do try to put on our own shows more nowadays, because it used to be like you just sit around and wait for someone to ask you.
Yeah.
But just go ahead and put your own shows on. Pick what bands you want to play with.
Yeah, and I
you
feel
know?
kind of bad saying it, but I think, you know, for me, I've always booked bands that I've played with,
Well,
or that I've witnessed.
Oh, yeah.
There are
Yeah.
certain bands out
Yeah,
there
but
that
that-
I go and watch, and I'm like,
There's bands you want to see as well.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I would love to say that I actively seek out new music all the
Yeah.
time, and I'm finding new bands.
No,
all the
but it's
time,
it's a
but-
punt. I mean, especially like because I used to promote for here like back in the day, right? Like I said, like
Back in my day.
Back in my day. When everything was black and white, like over 10 years ago, yeah. But like, you know, and obviously you get hit up a lot by lots of different bands and stuff, and it always just was a bit of a punt. Like, you know, there'd be bands that I knew, like in Bristol, that I knew that if I put them on, I was gonna I'd definitely get like 30 people in here, like every time, right? And then you know, having bands from like outside of Bristol hit you up. It was always just like a little bit, especially if I haven't met them or seen them. You know, it's just always a bit of a punt of like, who are they? You know, what are they going to be like as well? Are they going to show up and be dickheads? Are they not? You know, whatever. Like, you know, like, so yeah. You know.
But yeah, I think the main thing for us as well, we are quirky. So if we like bands that kind of run in their own race, maybe it's because we empathise with it, but like we see someone doing something a little bit different, and we can put ourselves in their shoes and go, oh, actually, it's going to be quite hard for them to find bills. And if we can, you know, it's not like a saviour complex because they'll do absolutely fine on their own. But that mentality of like, let's put you on a bill where you're going to shine. Come here, join us. Let's see what we can do.
A few more fans off that.
Right. And that cross pollination thing. You know, if you like us, you'll fucking love them. You know,
absolutely.
So
have you had the same the other way around? Have other bands come to you and gone, you know what, you need to play with us because?
Do you know what we did? We did before we had the hiatus after Ruben left. That was quite a sad moment. I had to turn down so many shows for us.
We turned down loads. It was horrible.
It just going through the
living in regret now, looking back at it.
Just going, look, we'd love to do it, but we don't have a drummer at the moment. We don't feel confident.
Is it cutthroat in the sense that if you say no, you kind of put the bottom of the list and forgotten about it?
It's more that you
become less relevant.
Yeah, because that band then goes, well, right, we need to fill a slot. They pick that band. That band's still active, so then they do more shows together. We've been pretty graced really coming back and like being able to reach out to certain bands that we did play with and them going, oh fuck yeah, of course. And kind of throwing that olive branch.
We jumped straight at some gigs as soon as we were ready to.
Rest in peace, We Be Villains from Western Superman.
Oh, We Be Villains, I remember that name.
They were really good.
They were wicked. Really quirky, really fun, really vibrant. And they, when we first started hitting the scene with Dalen again, they came with us for those.
Oh, cool.
And unfortunately, after the last gig we did with them,
the day after,
they broke up.
Really?
And it was really heartbreaking. But they kind of, it's almost like they gave their last life in like Mario or something to us, and were like, go on without us.
Leave me behind.
Mad. But so the respect that you have for those actually play alongside it lingers and like doesn't go a day where we think about doing a gig and my brain instantly goes through that catalogue. It goes, they were a bit like that and they were really good, you know. Or the most common one is if we can't do a gig, so these guys work away a lot, they do a lot of festival work. If we can't do a show and I have someone in mind that
recommend a band,
I'll always slip and go, but hit these guys up, and then I'll message them directly and say, send in a gig your way, this and this. I think you do really well if you can swing it.
That's cool.
Promoters talk as well.
Yeah.
You know, promoters talk. So like that's always a good one as well. Like recommending other bands and stuff. Yeah.
Definitely. Keeps the scene alive, but also, I want someone to put on a good show.
Well,
always. So,
especially if you're paying money to go see it, and people come in may not know all the bands.
And a lot of the time, if I've had to turn down a show for us because these guys are away, I'm going to go and watch it. I'm already going to go, and then that's nice because then that band that wanted us on the bill can still have a chat with me. And then, but they can also play with that other band that's been pushed their way, and it creates this really nice. Again, it's all about that environment, you know, where you're all lifting each other up. You know,
you find that quite often in Bristol. Is that a Bristol thing, or is it a?
There's pockets of it, isn't there? Like I've definitely encountered bands, and you can probably echo this, that don't have that mentality.
Yeah, they're there for themselves and screw everyone.
Yeah, well, like we've had it on some gigs where a band will turn up with like all of their stuff. And like. They think the night's all about them, and as soon as they've played, they won't watch the other bands.
Bands like that as well.
Like it was just really disrespectful and
absolutely.
Like, I don't care if you like our stuff or not, or I don't care if you don't like the other band's stuff. At least fucking watch.
At least watch. You stay and you watch. You know exactly.
Because everyone else has stayed to watch you.
Yeah.
But by and large, I'd say it depends. Honestly, in my head, pocket it into venues. But I think that's because every venue in this town or city serves a function for people. So when you go to a Griffin show, it's almost always good vibes. Almost always, because people aren't making loads of money from it, but they're doing it because they like the environment, they like the people, and so there's
and the people are literally a foot in front of you.
And I'm sure we've basically never made money from doing a Griffin show.
No, John's given us some before, to be fair.
Well, no, of course, but actually us going ahead and putting on the show.
Money.
Actually making money. Never.
And then
But the fridge would be full of beer for you, so, you know.
Yeah. And then basically, any venue that requires an upfront cost from a band in this city seems to have a bit more of a competitive nature to it. I get it. You've paid money in, you want money out.
Is there many venues in Bristol that do that? Charge the artists to play there?
It's
a lot of them, actually.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah, most of them, I'd say.
because you work most of them, don't you?
You need to, well, yeah, because I work a lot of the venues in Bristol. You need to hire. I'm like a live events contractor.
Oh.
So I've got all my crew. We'll go and make shows happen.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fun job.
Yeah.
So we cover all the southwest and Saudi Arabia for some reason.
Okay.
But the venues in Bristol, you'll nearly always need to do venue hire, or somewhere like the Fleece will be like they'll give you a wad of tickets that you have to sell, and if you don't sell them, you've got to cover the cost.
Yeah.
It's regular stuff.
Pays
It's hiring
play.
a room.
Yeah.
You know.
I always assumed it was the venue that booked the bands and also did the promotion.
No, if you're booking your own shows, then, you know, like,
Yeah.
like let's say me and you have got a band,
Yeah.
and we want to, let's say play the Fleece, we've got to sort that out. Like, we've got to pay for that.
Yeah, the
like,
Metal to the Masses is a great example. They have to hire that room every night they do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't get paid to put it on. And so, so you end up in this instant front runner of like, sell tickets by any cost, gain as much out of this at any cost. But you know, if you're in the city long enough, you start learning those venues, and and you approach them differently.
Yeah.
Like the Louisiana, for example, are one of the few bands that will just put you on, and you don't have to pay them that much to do it. But there are restrictions to that, and they do kind of give you the every band I've spoken to has it. The kind of fear of God email, which is like, this is your first outing at the Louisiana. If you do not sell enough tickets, you will not play again. We, just a stone's throw from here, you've got Zed Alley, which is higher, but they also run nights where they cover the hire.
Right.
Yeah.
So they run event nights, and they say, well, cool, let's put some bands on, and now you're waived costs, so you just ticket sales, you know?
Well, it's like the Fleece used, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to basically do these like almost like medley shows where that's why I ended up playing the Fleece twice in one of the bands I was in. Because it was just they just used to put on these ones where they'd get like 5 local bands, but like to fill out like a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, basically. In theory, and then 30 people show up.
But it's like we were saying earlier about the grassroots, right? Like, I get it though. I do get why venues have to do it. But I do agree that it changes a band mentality, especially when you start treating it more like a business. You know, and you've got to have the balance, and we've all got that balance, but. Yeah, for networking wise, you definitely notice a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you guys played all the venues in Bristol?
No,
I think we got the Fleece, the Thekla, SWX, and Motion to go in it.
Yeah, apart from a few random pubs.
Oh yeah, like we never played Mother's Ruin or anything like that.
Oh no, we never played Mother's Ruin.
I always forget the Mother's Ruin puts bands on upstairs
it's
sometimes.
because it's hilariously small.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Smaller than here.
Yeah, it's like literally like a balcony upstairs in Mother's Ruin, and they sometimes have a band on. And it's
we
just
wouldn't
like,
fit on there. But we're a 5-piece.
Yeah.
I mean, doing the Crown was hard enough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the night that I smashed Chris's cable.
Oh yeah. Well, to be fair.
He put it on the floor.
No, to be fair, you smash stuff because you're clumsy.
I am very. Basically, so there was no space on this stage. Chris had to put his guitar head on the
Is
floor.
it the tiny one downstairs?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
The amount you stand on my paddleboard.
I stomped around.
Fucking
Like fucking tune it off!
To be fair, I've tripped over a fair few paddleboards in my time.
We were doing a Happy Bus, and in Happy Bus I swing my legs around.
Yeah.
I swung my leg down on his cable, and it just snapped. It just snapped, and luckily we were able to pry it out of the head, so that he could then just plug another cable in. But it was almost a very expensive accident. I mean, then played Rough Trade. Rough Trade's nice.
Yeah, I mean, Rough Trade's I've been to a couple of gigs of Rough Trade. Obviously, they do. I don't know whether they're like a higher venue or whatever.
They do a bit of both.
They seem to a bit. I mean, obviously they're linked in a lot with the shop and what they have.
Like for example,
tours for
the bands do like vinyl release, and then they play the whole vinyl.
Barry Tomorrow are doing that actually.
Yeah.
They've got a Rough Trade for the album that's coming out.
Yeah,
you go.
So Rough Trade do these like Rough Trade sessions.
Yes.
But sometimes the band's too big to do in Rough Trade, so they outsource it.
Oh.
So like the other day I architects in motion.
Wow.
And it came up on my worksheet as rough trade, and I was like, that's weird. Like, I went there, I was like, yeah, it's a rough trade session. And I was like, well, architects are too big to play motion.
Yeah.
Let alone rough trade.
Yeah.
So we had to not use half their stuff.
You really? Yeah.
Yeah, they had too much stuff.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
Their backdrop was like festival size.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Good effort getting that set up.
No, I love having Dale and Johnny because they work so many batshit gigs that I'm like, I'd love to attend that. And they're just like, oh yeah, she's done that work, mate. Yeah. Did Rammstein the other week, yeah. And I'm
It sounds like a fascinating job, honestly.
Yeah, it's gotten rid of my fear of stages.
Okay, well, yeah.
Well, if I'm standing on a stage and there's 90,000 people watching me do my job,
Yeah.
you've got to get over it.
Yeah. Especially if they decide to, if a crowd's bored, that they start wooing the people that are coming on.
So I'm normally like a crew boss. I've got
Yeah.
to sort of organise the crew. If they're looking at the crowd and waving and all that,
Yeah.
cut that out immediately off the stage.
he just runs out and rubby tappers them.
Yeah.
Damn!
I have to ignore that.
Yeah.
Have to ignore
Because
that.
over the head.
as soon as the crowd starts heckling, it's not going to stop. It's gonna, yeah.
Like they will keep going.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
actually do Rammstein recently?
that
When they were
was
Cardiff
in,
when they burnt the ceiling. Yeah.
yeah, that was in Principality Stadium like 2 years ago.
Badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun gig.
Helping the pyro guys out and stuff.
They caught fire to a bunch of things they weren't supposed to have. And
lots of money.
I looked up like halfway through the show and I was like, that's not meant to be on fire, is it? And he went, no. And I was like, is that okay? And he goes, I'm sure it will be.
There was actually reports the municipality was on fire because there was so much fire billowing
they
off top of
melted
it.
it.
Yeah, melt the ceiling a little bit. They do that at basically every stadium they go to, and they promise they won't.
Yeah.
They have health and safety in, and
Yeah.
some German who's done some maths.
Yeah.
But it's all a lie.
That's throwing a TV out the window to a new level.
I don't
Rock
know.
stars just go, oh, crap TV, it's thrown out.
No, you know what it is?
No,
Because
set fire to the roof.
you just hit the nail on the head. It's the German thing. Because as soon as you've got a German telling you, like, yes, and this is like, you're like, oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
this
understand.
guy
Like,
knows.
they must have figured this all out. Like,
Our
yeah.
insurance will cover it.
Yeah.
They always say this is very efficient. Like I once had like a big rack with all the guitar and transformers and stuff, and it come to Thekla.
Yeah.
The only way to get stuff into Thekla is downstairs.
Right.
It's like, it's very efficient, this big rack. It's 450 kilo, but you just roll it in.
Yeah.
And I went, we only have
you can
stairs.
stand
And he goes, oh no.
Error.
6 of us gathered around it, just trying to bump it down the stairs.
I want to be the one in front. Yeah, you have
Right.
it. No.
Right, said Fred. All of us together.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a really cool job.
It is
right.
a fun job. It
Plus,
takes
the
up
rest
lots
of
of your
us
free
as
time. But
Yeah.
But then you do get it back on the other end.
Oh yeah, like this month I've had 1 shift.
Nice.
But then
But
in
then-
the summer.
In the summer, last
yeah.
summer I had 3 days off in 4 months.
Wow.
Like,
How do you fit Smile More around all that?
Don't get me started.
every now and then I might be able to get an evening in or something like that. But,
Quick fly-by practice.
when I'm gone, I only ever go for 1 month at a time.
Yeah, it forces us into quite like rigorous scheduling.
I mean,
Yeah.
is that could be useful though? Because I've noticed. Not to make this about me, but I'm in a couple of bands, and one of them's definitely a little bit more like easygoing. But one band we are trying to be a bit more efficient. Like we would like to start gigging by some point at the end of this year.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have found myself in the position sometimes of taskmaster, of having to be the person who's like, right, like we need to get practice
have to have the
sorted. If
difficult
we don't
conversations.
practice regularly, we're gonna get there's nothing's gonna move forwards basically.
I agree.
So maybe do you find that maybe that having the slightly limited time, you have to be like, right, we need to practice now because otherwise this isn't going to happen.
Our time's always really efficient when we do meet up.
Oh, okay, that's really
Like,
good as well.
um,
Go in with a plan kind of thing.
Yeah, because we have we have the 4-hour session or a 2-hour session. 2-hour session tightens the bolts.
Right, yeah.
4 hours to actually get work done.
Build
Yeah,
the structure,
yeah. And do you guys like writing in the room together, or do you kind of go off?
Half and half.
Yeah.
Often, like someone will come in with a song that's basically written or half of an idea,
like a cool riff, or
and
something.
then it'll get built together.
Because I'm having a bit of because the lead guitarist is pretty much writing all of the music, not because she wants to, but it's kind of just how it's kind of gone with the other members are like they're kind of more following along, which is fine. But then I had to, at first we kept on doing these practices, and she's just kind of stood there like a deer in headlights, and then I realised like she just doesn't like working like that at all. So she doesn't like jam working at all. She finds it really intimidating. She likes to work things out on Guitar Pro and with her guitar and work out riffs and like even put in like where the drums and make, like obviously it's not set in stone. So then I had to be like, okay, right, I'm going to come to your house regularly every week and we're going to write music, and then we're going to take that music back to the practice room to give everyone else to
Once
do.
you've written it, you can then get started.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a massive problem you have to solve.
And that is how we approach it. Like, you know, so I'm not the most musically literate human in the world.
See, I am
There's a lot of discussions where you're going, you know, like badum bad.
A bit like that.
I'm grateful to hear another lead singer. It's just like, you know, like that like the seesaw riff that
I'll present something in a way that makes no sense, and then Dale, our bass player, will look at me and realise that no one else has understood what I've said, so he almost translates.
Good
he goes away and he's just
Well, no, what he does is he goes, I think I know what you're on about. And then we'll like discuss it for another 4 or 5 hours.
I tend to write my lyrics away from you guys. I mean, ideas start in the room. One of the most common ones is an idea comes in, we start working on it, and I basically ask them what they think it's about. And then I get one or two options. Either I accept what they think the song's about, or I just fucking change it.
Or sometimes we just like, we know what it's about, and then we'll joke about something. And then we're like, oh my god, that's the song.
That's the song. You know, we got a song called Morning Glory, and the song, you know, it has a lot of depth to it now, but at the beginning it was just the chorus. We came up with a melody and it was like, welcome to the glory hole, and it was it.
I remember that conversation. It was just like, we just played this like big like epic washy thing, and then at the end, because you weren't singing because you hadn't written the lyrics yet, you just went, this song's about glory holes. Like, bam, there we go,
sorted.
So Chris wrote the song, and I remember him coming out to the smoking area. He just went, can you not make my song about glory holes? And I just looked at him and went,
Too late, mate.
It is what it is.
Sometimes you listen to the music and you just know what it's about. Like
Suck Me Dry, it's about Dale.
Like that crab song that we wrote. We just wrote a riff and I'm like, that sounds like a crab wrote that.
But then those are the worst for me, because they give me that and I'm like, yeah, but it can't just be about crabs. So then I'm there like cross-referencing it in my head, going like, the glory hole one was like, why would someone use a glory hole? They like the separation. And then it was like, okay, here we go, narrative, old man lost his wife, can no longer get off. What does he do? Glory hole, closes his eyes, pretends it's her. Sorted. And then that was the song.
There's a reason crabs never took off, because you're like, how can I make crabs mean something?
Well, it's funny you say, because I remember because I was a really big Mastodon fan back in the day, and like they actually have, I think it's on the Hunter, they've got a song called "The Octopus Has No Friends" or something like that, and it's literally called that because the guitarist just got way too stoned and wrote these riffs that were like insanely hard to play, and one of them just went, you had to be an octopus to play these fucking riffs. So it's just like, they're like, yeah, there we go, that's the song. It's just, Octopus Has No Friends, and it's just like,
Speaking of Mastodon, you see Brent Hines left?
Yes, I know. Sad.
25 years.
He's the big one with the face tats, right? The big who had like some kind
of
horrific
nicest way,
coma.
when I think of Brent Hines, and I know it's sad now, he was Mastodon.
I mean, yes and no. I understand what you mean.
Anyway,
I know. He was definitely. I think because, I mean, let's be honest. Just like when they came out, like even just the look of him, I think because he's like such an imposing kind of figure. Like it was like he very much kind of ended up
He
front.
epitomised it.
Yeah, for sure. But like you know,
apparently.
Well, his story's really interesting because he got really ill and then he ended up like in a coma for like.
Oh, really?
Like it was before they cracked this. Cracked This Guy's got a load of stuff about it, like Oblivion's. That song Oblivion's like partially about him basically.
All right.
It's like being in a coma and stuff. Yeah.
So he was like. Reason that he left?
I think it was like meningitis or no, not why he ended up in the coma and stuff. It was like really bad meningitis or something like that.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I can't remember. Or it was an accident. I can't remember. But yeah. So he always had like quite an interesting story, like as a guy. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know, like Mastodon for me, like, I mean, I love like from first album to I'd say probably like Around the Sun, the Hunter era, Mastodon. Like I just loved. I gotta be honest, they just kind of fell off for me a little bit. Like there was a moment for them where they were like, you know, at the Grammys and they were like this, and they were like kind of almost a bit like Gojira.
Yeah.
Right, they were like weirdly that metal band that the mainstream had gone, like these guys are fucking really cool. Like, and they were kind of getting put in a lot of spaces that metal bands don't normally get put in, if that makes sense. And yeah, I don't know kind of what happened. They seem to just kind of, I mean, I hate to say it, almost fall out of the zeitgeist a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like they just kind of drifted away.
Kind of less relevant. Even though
That's what I mean. Yeah. They were still like releasing stuff, but
no statement from them anymore. It was just, oh look, they're sport.
Yeah. They seem
good.
to be making a bit of a comeback and stuff. Like, you know, they released a whole like double album 2 years. What the fuck was it called? That's the problem. I haven't even listened to it for. But they released like a full like double CD album. Yeah. It's just like it's massive. So like it's one of the reasons I haven't listened to it because it's just a bit too like daunting. It's like fucking 18 hours of music or something stupid like that.
Oh, because it's in 5 songs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, some Mastodon fan somewhere is just crying with happiness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You got 2 whole albums.
Yeah, it's a shame. Well, it's a shame that he's left them before they've kind of gone on this because obviously they're playing Bloodstock and they're playing a bunch of. Yeah. They're playing that Slayer show in Cardiff and yeah. So it's a bit of a shame that he's left them before they kind of finished this round of touring.
To sub in.
Who's that?
All I know him by is YouTube. He's a crazy good guitar player.
Okay, good. Well, he's going to have to be because be real, like Mastodon does have some mad riffs in their stuff. So yeah, interesting.
It shows you that YouTube can get you places. Give us a like on YouTube. Listen to our playlist. Don't forget.
Oh yes, like us on social media, please. Yes.
Everyone. That's 10 listeners.
Please.
Right, so you've got quite an interesting job with the whole live music thing.
Yes.
So, do you have any good stories from that you could share with us?
So my last trip out into Saudi Arabia for the Formula E races, we had Akon, the guy from the early 2000s.
Just had sex. That was the other one he did. That was it. The Lonely Island song he did. I forgot about that until that very second.
But he's a fun guy. He wanted near the end of his set to be put into a Zorb and then thrown into the crowd.
Into the crowd?
Into the crowd. But out in Saudi Arabia, it's a dry country.
Yeah.
So no one there is
willing to catch.
They're all sober, so we were worried. Are they going to understand? Like, are they going to really understand what to do? Yeah. So just in case, we had all of our crew stood out the barrier, just in case they tried to throw him back over. And they did try and throw him back over. And they kept trying to throw him back. So
he's supposed to be on the stage.
So I jumped up on the barrier and held Akon in his big balls. And then I was about to fall over. And then 2 of my local guys ran up behind me, were holding me up. So we had like a human pyramid with Akon and his fucking balls.
This is like the most weird, like techno-capitalist, feudalist version of like Sisyphus I've ever heard. Like,
but he loved it.
Yeah. Was it just him performing then for like a? It was
he was like the headline that night. Wow. Like the crowd were enjoying it, but a lot of them were just like, "Oh my god, what? He's on top of me!" He was somersaulting in the thing.
Yeah. See, if that had been like Reading or Leeds or something like that, it would have been absolute carnage.
Well, they'd be popping the Zorb.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, trying to get into it. Would have been like a.
They'd have peeled him out like a fucking tangerine.
What's that zombie movie where they all move like a what is it called again? Project Z or World War Z, you know, where they all move like they all run up each other to like get helicopters. Would have been like
just a wave,
just Akon vanishing into the crowd.
The idea of someone just putting a fag in the side and blowing in.
Yeah.
Now we've got him.
Now we've got Akon.
Extract Akon.
Akon is ours now. He belongs to us.
Johnny's stood there going, "Oh shit, we've lost it."
I was worried about
just
that.
Just on the walkie-talkie, like, "Shh, we've lost Akon."
Anyone got eyes on Akon?
Brilliant.
Funnily enough, I've a kind of similar, very small-ish story to it. We're at Sonosphere many years ago. One of my friends, he's quite a short fella, And I think it was for some 41 that we're playing. Anyway, we decided it was time for him to go crowd surfing. He had no choice in the matter. We picked him up, launched him into the crowd, and we're like, we'll see him at some stage later. 10 minutes later, he found us in the middle of the crowd. It's like, fucking hell, how did you manage that?
That's good.
Why?
It's not your time yet.
You should not have come back this quick, man. What the hell?
That's funny. That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, I also nearly got my nose broke for some 41. Because someone decided to make me go crowd surfing when they were playing Master of Puppets, as they do.
Yeah.
And I'm normally too big for people to put over their head, understandably. So I'm the one that normally fires people up. I'm 6'1", 16 stone. Like, I'm a bit of a lump to get up in the air. Anyway, people are like, no, fuck it, you've done it for everyone. You're going up. I was like, this is a bad idea. Yeah. Get me up, and the first person who's supposed to, move me along, instead of doing that, and the people listening can't see you put my hands on my head and doing wacky shapes. Instead of doing that, he decided to punch me in the fucking nose as I was falling to the floor. So I stood up, my nose was pissing blood. I was like, this is for some 41. Yeah. Now this is embarrassing.
Hey, girls, some 41 are pretty, they're pretty Larry.
They're finally giving up the...
Not finally giving up. They've retired. They've retired. He almost died of alcoholism, It was really bad at one point. Yeah.
He looked it, to be fair.
No, he's like, literally, there's like photos of him like in hospital. He was like
that was
emaciated. He was like emaciated. He almost killed himself drinking. Yeah.
Because of Avril Lavigne.
Sounds like it's complicated.
Because of Avril Lavigne. Oh, wow, Danny. Oh,
Well played.
Oh, no. No, I thought it was quite sweet. Like, they got all the original band members back, and they played.
A band member change?
Yeah. One of the original guitarists left quite a few years back. Yeah. I think, funny enough, he actually talked about it. As part of it was just the over partying. He was just like, I got into my mid.
I don't have a liver anymore.
I just got in my mid-30s, and I was like, fuck, I can't keep doing this. Like, yeah, they were like a pretty hard rocking, hard living band. Yeah.
You've seen it really, but
yeah.
Because Avril Lavigne do that to you.
Yeah.
Does anyone really miss nu metal?
I mean, hey, look,
I miss nu metal.
We're in the revival, aren't we?
You can't miss it if you're still living it.
That's it,
exactly.
We're bringing Primus back.
Came across a band, I don't know how long they've been out, but clearly not that long. They're called Tetrach. It's really weird. Tetarach. How do you pronounce that? They are the definition of modern nu metal.
Nice.
They're really good. Yeah. Really, really good.
Yeah.
So it is doing a comeback.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's been, like I've said on this podcast before, it's hilarious about walking around Bristol now. There's all these like 19, 18-year-olds that all dressed like I used to dress when I was 13, 14. Like, it's just like, as soon as I saw the 3/4 length shorts were back, I was like, getting on that, right, here we go, getting 3/4 length shorts back, we're doing it. Like,
okay, buy baggy ones again.
Yes, exactly.
It's only taken 20 years.
Yeah.
Getting my frosted tips out.
Yeah! I finally saw my first set of them in the wild.
Strapping boys were off to Flavour Town.
But no, yeah, it is crazy how much of like a kind of like way round it's kind of come.
Yeah.
But like I've said before, I think it's like what's happened is like a lot of artists, like musicians who are actually in like different kinds of music, like especially rap, but who grew up in the nu metal era, weirdly kind of started like bringing in a lot of the aesthetics of like the nu metal era into like
you look at like
hip-hop,
a lot of these kind of TikTok rappers and things. There's an alt edge to all of it now.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That kind of really.
There was that trend for ages, like the whole sort of like really gothic looking like Zanny rappers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are all the people that used to bully us in school dressing like us?
Yeah. The people
They're bullying him back now.
People who used to beat me up in the skate park are now like all,
Yeah.
It's cool
now suddenly it's cool to dye your hair black.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. But no, it's interesting, like, and definitely, obviously, like the kind of influence of like that era of bands. You're starting to hear a bit of it again.
I'm guessing you guys have seen it from actually touring around and playing places. But since we started doing this podcast, we've opened up a whole underground of stuff we didn't know, and like different genres, like black and hardcore and all this kind of stuff. Where they're taking multiple genres, blending it together, and it comes out awesome with this new thing.
Genre bending's back. I mean, like. Poppy was a great example of that. Poppy's
100%,
outstanding.
100%,
that first album where you had this like kind of K-pop anime edge to it, and then
the kind of slightly hyper poppy
death metal afterwards, and then like one of my favorite
to be fully accepted as well by
and it was fully embraced. One of my favourite acts at the moment, Skinned, Skynd, like electronic music that's kind of a bit weird. that's all about serial killers and things like that.
Yeah.
But then it's like really heavy, really aggressive, really strange, and like I think we're in this kind of beautiful culture now where everything is kind of messy.
Yeah,
and cross-pollinated.
Well, people can be into anything nowadays. I think a bit more, isn't it? You know, so like I mentioned this on the last show, even like when we were talking about that, like kids are just like kind of into what they're into. Like the hardcore band comes on, the kids will kick the shit out of each other. The hip hop band comes on, the kids will kick the shit out of each other. The hyper pop band, Charlie XCX comes on, the kids will kick the shit out of each other.
The amount of bands that have the tagline now, songs to beat your friends up to, like. And it's you know it's awesome. Like I think metal in many ways was sort of doing this before this, if that makes any sense. Like we had as we know, metal like obviously used to be gatekept to shit.
Yeah.
But there was so many subgenres of metal because it was like people in the metal box going, yeah, but I do this slightly differently. Can we give it a new name?
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, I remember, like, you know, it was like my generation. You know, I came in like, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, and it's like the new metal stuff, and getting absolutely like the shit ripped out of me by all the old school metalheads, and like this isn't Iron Maiden, this isn't, you know, Metallica, whatever. And then, you know, a few years later, as soon as the scene kids showed up and the emo showed up, we all did that to them. So, you know, we all told them they were fucking posers and all the bands they liked were shit. You know, and the cycle continued.
The beautiful irony is that me and Johnny are of the generation after that, who he then ripped on. You know, we both laugh because both of us have a shared like early band of Black Veil Brides, wasn't it?
Oh man, I was like the biggest emo kid,
and we got the shit ripped into us for
and I still love it to this day.
Me too.
It still blends
3
his
Days
way
Grace,
in.
man.
Matt, 3 Days Grace.
3 Days Grace.
I think Adam Gontier may genuinely have one of my favourite voices. Like actually, his voice is really incredible.
Well, didn't he? He did stuff with Apocalyptica.
Did he?
Yeah, he did that one song with Apocalyptica. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember.
Yeah, but it's
Really
nice,
song,
you know. And then obviously, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I was never the biggest fan of like ripping it out of video because I just liked too much. So the issue is, I ended up in this weird spot where I'd be like,
you weren't a fan of whipping it out.
Ripping
like
it
ripping
out.
it.
He is a fan of whipping
I mean,
out.
I do. You know, I have been known to expose.
This entire session has been whipped out.
Just laid on the table.
Every time you hear it.
Yeah, that's well, thank you, Tom. I feel like you're doing me. I think you're doing me a bit of over justice there. But,
Before you jump into it, I can give you a bit of lore related to that.
Yeah.
So the producer we're working with, Cray, he let us in on one of his industry secrets. So I might be exposing him a bit here, which is kind of fitting. He's got a kick that he's created that he puts on nearly every song he produces.
Yeah.
It's called the Dick Kick.
Yeah.
And it is an audio recording of him slapping his penis onto the desk. But he's edited the sound to the point where it just sounds like the perfect trigger kick.
He just blends it in.
Blends it in, and he was like, "Guys, I don't think you realise there are going to be dick kicks all over this."
That's so great.
Yeah.
Do you know which song it's going to go into?
Nah, it's
every song, every kick,
Just
or at least every other kick. Like, you know, it will sound like the left foot kick.
I wonder how he does the double. I wonder how he does the double kick.
The double kick.
Yeah. Just the whole 9 yards out.
Anyway,
no. But
That's actually clacking between, between his two thighs.
Oh dear. That's so fucking funny. What was I saying? Oh yeah, no, it's just like
you used to like them.
Like but that was the thing. Like so I actually I actually really liked My Chemical Romance, but of course I had to like pretend that I didn't like around, you know. And then luckily like it wasn't like for ages, but I very quickly just became like far more like just openly like if I like a song, I like a song. If I like a band, I like a band.
Don't beat me up regardless.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so there's a lot of other reasons they're going to beat me up for. So, so yeah, like
you raise a really good point about empathy though there, which is like, I think we all nowadays have hit a point where we see ourselves and those young people exploring those new niche genres, right? Because we were those people, and you know, I'm not the biggest TikTok fan. I work in a school for those
Yeah,
that
yeah,
don't know,
yeah.
and I see how that
TikTok
negatively
everywhere.
affects our youth.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in terms of creativity and in terms of the diversity of what
Yeah.
they
World
listen
music
to,
girls,
Yeah.
oh, it's amazing.
It's where they're all finding music now,
It's
isn't
the modern
it? Like,
Tumblr,
so-
man.
Yeah.
Like their TikTok feed is their Tumblr feed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's,
yeah.
it's kind of beautiful to see because it's like, oh, you're fully expressing yourself in this space. You've got this band and this band and this band.
And
And
see
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that's
yeah.
going to
Yeah.
melt into and
Yeah.
what comes
Yeah.
out of
so
it.
yeah, I don't have the heart to bully him either.
I think a lot of music, a lot of genres have actually, in terms of like the music theory and what you can play and what
Yeah.
other people have played, there's not much you can do anymore which hasn't already been done.
Yeah.
But then
yeah.
there's blending things together, having your own take on things.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of like it's creating cocktails out of the ingredients that
Yeah.
everyone else just drinks straight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's that
That's a
genre
great
blending
way
thing.
of
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
it.
That's a really
Yeah.
good way. Yeah.
Totally agree.
No.
I always like it makes our jobs quite difficult because we're trying to describe music, but there's a whole copyright and stuff, so we can't play it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we listen back to it. We're trying to describe it. We're kind of going, it's kind of ditty, it's kind of
Yeah.
punky. It's got elements of black in there. Oh yeah. There's double bass, no blast beats. Oh yeah.
But then you end up having to like just kind of mention other bands, but then sometimes you feel like that's not doing the band justice because you're just like going, they sound like this,
Yeah,
or
Yeah.
they sound like that.
Sometimes they don't sound like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just sound
Yeah.
like them.
Teo can
Like-
testify from when he's tattooing me. When Teo first met me, he'd never heard my band, so he was like, describe yourselves to me.
And you got you did such
And
a
the
bad
only
job.
way I could describe our band was by saying other bands.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Teo came to watch us and he was like, you fucking botched that.
100% is hilarious.
and yeah.
Yeah.
I always
You're
just
right.
say it's theatrical and we write what we want.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's a good word.
You know, I just think I describe it as a manic episode that has a little bit of depth.
Well, they're all songs that are basically about either making fun of each other or
Yeah.
unfucking
Or
each
Dale in
other.
particular.
Like Dale, every time.
It's airing dirty laundry. The band, you know, like
Yeah, we'll get our stuff out.
100%. You know, thank you for having me. It's about yourself, right? And anyone that's heard that song, like, without taking over this podcast and talking about it, like,
That's all right.
you know, it was about Johnny's experiences in his teens, right?
Well, yeah, went to prison
Yeah,
when I was younger. Decided to
been
write
fun.
about it,
yeah. And
and yeah, just get it out.
it got out, and then Dale always laughs because the songs we write about other people seem to be really beautiful and thought out. And then the Dale stories are always just have it.
The song, my favourite song about Dale being "Suck Me Dry" is about the time that a taxi driver threatened to stab him because he said that he was too fat to run away if he didn't pay him.
Savage!
So we wrote a song about that.
We were in this taxi listening to
dear.
Sepultura, and the guy was like, he was like, Dale was like, can you pull over so I can draw some money out so I can pay you? And I was like, yeah, no worries. And he said, don't worry, mate, I won't run. And deadpan as anything. And this guy was like the Transylvanian stereotype. He was like, no, you no run. I have knife, and you're far too fat. And
It's a proper vampiric taxi.
it was. And we wrote a song about it. And yeah,
That's so
but
funny.
unfortunately, then it wasn't like a serious song about like, oh no, Dale's backed in the corner. It's like, what if he had to suck his dick?
Love it.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
The duality of a sick mind.
yeah. I'm
Where
on
were
the
you
right
going
side.
that you had a taxi driver that would play Sepultura?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, he's sick.
Yeah,
It's
he
actually
banged it
called
on, but then he said it was too heavy.
Cabs. Dracula Cabs operates in Somerset near Yeovil. Guy's a legend. Like he comes in his leather jacket and everything. It's proper like little metal cab company.
Yeah.
wasn't messing when he said he had a knife.
Yeah. Oh, you won't mess with him. But yeah, we got in and he was like, "What do you guys want on?" And so we were going through stuff, and I was like, "Sepultura." And he's like, "I know Sepultura. I'll put Sepultura on."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "No, it's too heavy for me." And he sticks Guns N' Roses on, and we're just there with like freaking "Welcome to the Jungle."
Yeah, just like massive hangover staring out the window, just sweet child of mine.
Fuck my life.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. We're probably getting close to time, I think, but we'll have a little bit more. You said you played Bristol quite a few times.
Yeah.
Favourite venue you played?
Favorite venue. Oh, that's...
I like how the Crofters' Rights gave us loads of beer.
That was nice.
That seems to be everyone's favourite. There's a lot of talk about.
Although in
Crofters'
terms of sound,
Was it the Crofters' Rights then, or the Croft?
It was the Crofters' Rights.
No, it's still the Crofters' Rights. Yeah.
in terms of sound, like in like the hemisphere of Bristol anyway, probably the Electric Banana in Westham.
Yeah, but it's not Bristol.
But
is it?
in Bristol, the Exchange, that's really
I
good
like
sound.
the Exchange.
The upstairs room.
Yeah, but the upstairs room is hard to lock down. In terms of like a show that we put on, I love the basement in the Exchange. To be honest with you,
It's just like
It's
a proper
just-
DIY.
They're actually doing it up soon
they
as well.
are. They
Are
are.
they?
It's
That's
getting a
They've bought
renovation.
like the space next door.
Oh, what? So they're going to
'Cause
like knock
it used to
through?
be a big underground place in
Yeah.
there, but they built a wall between the two. But now they've bought next door,
Yeah.
so they're going to knock down that wall.
That's
It'll be
really
a big
cool. So it'll be
underground
bigger
venue.
down there. That's
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
But that one's nice because it's similar to the Griffin, where if you get like 60 people in, it feels like it's about to explode.
Yeah.
And you can. The stage is small, but you can kind of make do with that
Yeah,
room.
it's fun. It's like a proper like floor show kind of thing, isn't it? I
but
like it.
I will say, few and far between do we have bad experiences. Like the Louisiana has its own vibe and it has its
Yeah.
own thing. You know, in the summer, that's my favourite venue. It's got air
It is
conditioning.
actually
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah,
Sound like such old men.
it goes a
It's got
long
air
way.
conditioned, lovely toilets. It's amazing.
And guess what? Your crowd stick around because it's colder inside. Like, you know, yeah.
Better keep them around.
I think the nice thing about Bristol is that most venues are good.
Except
Yeah.
one.
Well, yeah, except
Which
one.
is your one?
If you listen to the podcast, you'll know.
Fuck the O2.
Yeah,
was
fuck
what I
the
was saying.
O2.
Yeah, but then you never hear of a local band playing the O2.
No.
Yeah, true.
Ever.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Like, unless they do
Yeah.
like a specific night.
Yeah.
And it's very rare.
Yeah. I don't think they do anything like that.
None of
anymore,
us
do they?
sit here
No.
and go, yeah, I want to play the O2 one day.
That's just,
You know?
Definitely not.
I've
the
worked
first
at the O2.
one.
yeah.
I mentioned this shit.
I hate the O2 and they didn't pay me,
Well, there you go.
so they're
There you go.
bastards.
Yeah.
Number one for your fire.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bit more fuel for your fire.
Exactly.
Hey!
The O2 didn't pay Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shame on you, O2.
Yeah.
Suck your lives out.
Yeah.
Support grassroots venues.
Absolutely. Give the money to the.
You big conglomerate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We should be on more often.
Yeah, me and Tom have ranted about the O2 a lot.
Pretty much
But-
every episode we have a crack at them. 'Cause
Yeah, it makes
there's nothing
sense.
good about it.
No,
No, it's
But-
not even actually a good venue.
No, no.
That's
We've
the
made
thing.
that point
It-
multiple
Weird layout.
loads of
Forget all
choke
the
points.
bollocks about it. It's
Yeah.
just actually not a good
Yeah.
space.
There is crap. And the
Choke
bottleneck
points. You
from
can't
the
get
two-
into any. You can't
Yeah.
move around it easily.
No, it's awful.
You know, you can't get anywhere properly. It's just yeah.
Not just because we're in his living room, but genuinely, like, the Griffin, for anyone that isn't from Bristol, you won't know, but if you are from Bristol, you already know that the Griffin is the lifeblood of this scene, really.
Yeah.
We have the
Yeah.
metal
Yeah.
quarter now.
Yeah.
Like, people can talk about the space sometimes being difficult to play in or to manage sound-wise, but you put a show on the Griffin, it will always do semi-well.
Yeah.
And you will come away feeling so much
Yeah.
more invigorated.
I mean, there's loads of
John
bands
puts
that-
on great acts.
There's loads of
Absolutely.
bands
So
that
you
just
get
come to
better.
play here because it's the Griffin. That
Yeah.
started to happen. Like, you know, we already talked about the Hammers, Swarms, Vermin Throne one. Like, they chose, like I said, that was just supposed to be their hometowns. And then they were like, we really want to play the Griffin. We'll just go and play Bristol as well.
Yeah.
Even though none of them come from Bristol, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I think obviously Vermin Throne had played here before, but like, yeah, you know.
It's
so.
an institution in Bristol, you know. It's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And one thing that always puts this venue above other venues for me is that they don't care how big or small you are.
No.
Absolutely.
If
No.
you
Yeah.
approach and you speak to them and you say, look, like, I'm starting a band, we need a gig,
Yeah.
You'll get
they will
it.
find
Yeah,
it.
John will always figure it
Yeah,
out.
It's all about the love of it, isn't it?
100%.
Like,
And
Love
they
of the
know
game.
that it feeds in, you know, because then you're the ones coming back saying, can we hire you for a headline?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And so, yeah, in terms of what it offers the scene, it's unrivaled.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny that, like, I totally agree with you that, you know, John's always, like, his bread and butter is looking after everyone, but, like, for the podcast, I obviously do quite a bit of research of who's playing. The Griffin obviously comes up quite a lot. And when I'm going through, like, some of the bands I don't know, but then I start going through and, you know, like, 20,000 listens a month on Spotify, you're like, oh, that's pretty big. And then it'll be the other extreme, 55. And you're like,
Yeah.
cool.
There
Great.
was a really good Italian band that came through the other week. I cannot remember them for the life of me. I feel guilty about it. But the fact is, they were from Italy.
Yeah.
And John
Yeah.
went, I like them, and
Yeah.
put them on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Speaking of, have you been to any other gigs around Bristol or the last few weeks? Because you can't play it because you've done the Bloodstock one.
Yeah, we haven't played any. I've been a bit of a hermit. The last one I came to was Land Captains here.
Ah, cool.
So that was last month, I want to say. And that was wicked. That
Yeah.
was they were on top form. I mean, I love a guitar, so that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my stuff wouldn't fall in the metal category.
That's alright, yeah.
Feels the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of cool folk artists in Bristol at the moment. A lot of the open mic scene's quite nice.
Yeah.
Haven't been as out to it as I'd like to have been. But yeah, that's me. So yeah, Land Captains was my last proper gig I went to. You know.
Cool. Johnny, how about you? Anything interesting you've been to?
I guess you work
I've been
a lot as
hermiting
well.
as well. Yeah, I work a lot of gigs, although not so much at the moment. Last gig I worked was Architects. That was a cool gig. Didn't we come here to see? It was one of the Metal to the Masses bands.
Oh, it was Buried in Bermuda.
Buried in Bermuda, yeah. That was a really good show, actually.
That was a wicked show.
Yeah.
Really good band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're a very good band. They're a very good band. But yeah, like I said when I was reviewing it, I was sat there listening to them and I was going, what is this sound? I was like, he's doing these really powerful, like high and then low vocals and all this and this. And I was just
there was
like,
a lot going
I was just
on.
like, it's audio slave.
It is.
I was like, that's what it is. I was like, yeah. No, but obviously in their own way. But yeah, no, they're very, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
What about you guys?
There's only one I've been to in the last 2 weeks, I think, which was a bit of a nice find because, as I was mentioned about the the algorithms and finding all these other bands and going to see bands and instantly liking them on Spotify. Now my Spotify's grown, so any playlist I get totally random stuff. One of which was a band called Beyond Creation. So if anyone has ever heard of them before, they're I'm going to get the description of them because I don't want to do them justice, and I actually took notes because I thought that was a sensible idea. So they're like technical prog death, really like insane. Like there's two-handed tapping going on, there's sweep solos harmonised with the bass, doing exactly the same thing, like insanely good. But I listened to them come on like Spotify thing, and I was like, oh, they're really cool. Nice. And then through the looking around, I was like, oh, there's a gig coming up. I'm like, oh, okay. So literally 2 days later, they were playing Bristol. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's go to this. So there was a band called Date, I don't know how you pronounce it, it's Daath, but the A's have got like notes in it, I don't know how to pronounce that. I need a foreign speaker. Anyway, similar kind of style, and the reason I wanted to take it was for them and for Beyond Creation, which was the opener and the next act up. I completely missed the first band because Roadworks in Bristol. Decided I was going to be, because it was a bit rainy, I was like, I'm going to park near the NCP near the Fleece. Tried to avoid all the bus gates because you get charged for going through the bus gates, and then got to where I should have been turned and the fucking roads closed. I was like, right, so I need to go.
Bristol.
Yeah.
No idea whatsoever that the fucking road is closed. And you're like, yeah, well, I'm screwed, so I did miss them completely, which pained the hole. Beyond Creation are absolutely incredible. I highly recommend listening to them. Downside is the recorded stuff doesn't give you the same wallop as their live stuff, which is a good thing for metal band, to be fair. I prefer live. But they were insane. Like, their drummer was... We mentioned it in one of our episodes before about it's a poly something it's called. You can basically play two different rhythms.
Polyrhythms, yeah.
So your legs are doing one rhythm, your arms are doing something else.
Yeah.
So he was going between blast beats, keeping the speed in his legs, and then just casually doing other
It's
things.
really hard to do. It's why most people can't play Meshuggah.
Yeah. It's insanely hard. So he was doing that. The guitars were sweeping and all sorts. It was just...
It was virtuoso music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But all of them really in time, really in sync. They all played headstockless guitars, which I don't know if that's just a proggy.
It's a trend. They're coming
It's
in.
a big thing at the moment. I've been
Just
thinking
the
about
Floyd
buying
Roses.
one.
What's the benefit of them? Because they look crap.
So they do look shit.
They do.
The small benefit of them is that when you're rushing down to hit your low notes, or if you're somebody who sits down your low notes all the time, there's no headstock in your way.
Yeah.
If you're a guy with big hands, or if you're a guy who likes to sort of angle your hand onto it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
The tuning, like,
They're more stable, right?
they can be. If you're set up real good and actually know how to use fine tuners properly, like, then it is really good.
And then they hold the tuning, I guess.
But, like, isn't the point of the headstock to just show off how expensive your guitar is,
Well, yeah.
with whatever name's on it?
It's also a bit of balance, right?
Yeah.
Like a headstockless one is going to be body heavy, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, because I play Flying V's most of the time.
Nice, I got one.
So you want like, well, to be honest, a headless Flying V sounds like a dream.
It wedges nicely
It
into the tie
doesn't
and
just
it
fall down all the time.
That's, yeah. So that was a bit odd. I don't like the look of headstockless guitars. They're a bit weird.
They're very modern.
I'm starting to like them, but only if they've got a really freaky looking body on them as well. Like they have to. It can't be a normal guitar
Like
without
a
a head
or
on
something,
it.
but
So weird than that, I reckon. like you could have picked it out of the woods.
Nice.
Fair. Last thing to say about that band, there was a stage where they brought the prog element and they were doing clean guitars with two-handed tapping, clean, with blast beats over it.
Nice.
Sick.
It worked really surprisingly well. Next band came on, they were called Cynic. They're entirely prog. Very crunchy guitar tones, again headstockless guitars, that was a kind of proggy thing. They were late starting, but the singer had something wrong with his voice, he was struggling a bit, so he's like, music will speak for itself, I'm not going to sing much. When he did, there was this weird flange effect over his voice, it was very clean, thought it was very odd. They kind of killed all the energy that was created beforehand, which was a bit of a shame. Then the last band were Rivers of the Nile.
They're great.
They are so good.
Good band.
They have a saxophone player who does solos of them. So they'd be flying blast beats, and then this angelic fella comes out with a saxophone, stands on the monitors, and just blows everyone away. Like, okay, that's
Bit of saxophone.
it's worked surprisingly well. Blast beats and saxophone. Who would have known? They were good. Two vocalists. One was proper death guttural vocals. The other one had the biggest beard you can imagine, and he sung like an angel. Like, it was really bizarre watching him. He was like, that voice does not fit. But yeah, they work quite well, harmonising each other and so on and so forth. The saxophone caught me off guard because I didn't know the band before watching him, and he wasn't on stage for the whole thing, so there was only certain points he came on and off, and it was pretty cool. So I think that was it for me. When they went a bit proggy, they got a bit. I always have this issue anyway, when you kind of go a bit experimental prog, kind of kills the energy a little bit for me.
You weren't a fan of the black and jazz, were you?
Oh, Jesus. Jesus. No.
Yeah.
That was bed sore, wasn't it?
Awesome. Yeah. Wow, awesome. It's been amazing. I'm really grateful that you guys have taken the time to come on.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man.
No worries.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been really great. And can't wait to see you in the next heat of Metal to the Masses. When is that? That's like April now.
So
isn't
we
it?
can
Yeah.
announce our heat.
Oh, go for it.
Semi-final.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been announced fully yet. So if you listen to Fuel My Fire, you've got the sneak preview, as it were. So we are doing the 8th
Give us a
of
smile
June.
emoji.
The 8th of June.
Well, this is the likely date for it to
Yeah.
be.
Right, yeah.
So
8th of June.
Yeah. So we've been requested to play the 8th, and I think
Yeah.
that's the one we're going for. That's a Sunday.
Nice.
So it'd be.
Oh, that'll
a
be.
good time.
There's definitely. Yeah, that'll definitely be.
So we'll get a
few
Sunday
people.
roast down us and
Yeah.
start smashing out some riffs.
There you
like-
go. I love it.
Riffs and a roast. You heard it
Whips
here
and a
first.
roast.
Oh,
That's a song that's written itself.
it writes itself every time.
Another Smile Song in the works.
For everyone listening to this, give us a smile emoji on all the Facebook and Instagram, and so we know you listened.
Yeah, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, follow us on Smile More Band on Instagram. Same on Facebook, and yeah.
Cool.
We will be playing more. We will be releasing more.
We look forward to it.
Yeah, look forward to showing you.
Good.
Awesome.
Guys, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Yeah.
And thanks everyone. See you in the pits.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.